what led to the fall of the Western Roman Empire. When we talk about the Roman Empire's decline, it is often used as a way of discussing ourselves. From those that argue that the Roman Empire never really fell, to those that claim that the cause was a moral decline. All of these arguments are more to do with modern context concerns than with properly understanding in the Roman context. A series of changes to the Roman society made it increasingly incapable of fending off threats. First, Christianity. Two, its internal issues. And third, its external issues, such as barbarians. In the Roman context, many saw Christianity's monotheism as sacrilegious, leading them to blame Christianity for their empire's decline. During the Roman era, Christianity was seen as a risk to the empire because it was seen as sacrilegious. But as time went on, Christianity came to dominate Roman culture. To pagans, quote, Christians were affiliated with the repudiation of pleasure, the breaking of home and family ties, the ruining of business, the abandonment of religion, and the avoidance of civic duties, unquote, says Paul Herter. There was also a vastly different moral culture in Roman society. When things were bad, culture. That would be okay. In Roman society, when things were bad, the culture tended to emphasize faithfulness to the empire. But in Christian society, the tendency is to focus on the eternal nature of the soul. Pagan Romans saw suicide as a virtuous alternative to dishonor. But with the rise of Christianity, this began to change. After the rise in Christianity, the church took a very different approach. Those who attempted suicide were excluded from the church services and buried outside consecrated graveyards. Later ordinances moved this too. Their approach to provide these approaches provide a window into the difference in the worldview. The eternal soul and journey versus the state's existence and power. While Christianity was able to integrate the ideas of patronage and self-sacrifice, it rejected the Roman idea of the central focus of the good life. The success of Christianity within the Roman context made a career in the church a good life, pushing the smartest and hardest working away from the military. Secondly, although Christianity may have played a part, it's clear to see that Rome's financial issues were also at fault for the empire's decline. Rome got very large and needed an army to defend itself. It also needed money to pay the army, so they had none. Their solution? Make it. The story of the empire's ruin in this regard is simple and obvious. In fact, it's almost surprising how long it lasted. At the start, coins were made out of pure metals. Roman officials found that the less metals that they used, the more there was to make, and there was more to spend. By the time of Marcus Aurelius, only about 75% pure. It was only around 75% pure metal. By the end, it was barely 5%. These effects took time to become apparent, but it was obvious when it happened. With the increasing taxes and decreasing value of money, the economy became paralyzed. By the end, there was mostly just bartering. Eventually, barbarians offered more security than the empire, as well as more opportunity and freedom. The evidence of decline can even be found in the number of ships in the Mediterranean Sea. It is thought that the Roman Empire overextended beyond its ability to recover. Quote, the relative strength of leading nations in world affairs never remained constant, principally because of the uneven rate of growth. That, in quotes, is Paul Kennedy. Such was true for the Roman Empire too. After Christianity diminished, Rome's moral commitment and inflation removed the faith into the state's ability to protect them. New immigrant communities began to grow in power until they were eventually able to overthrow the state themselves. As time went on, more and more losses in there were more and more losses for the Roman Empire in battle, and barbaric tribes encroached on the empire's land. In the 400s, they were regularly raided by the Visigoths, Vandals, and more. Quote, when freedom became possible in the West in the 5th century, with the barbarian invasions, people took advantage of the possibility of change, unquote, said Joseph R. Hedon. Anyone under the very top of society was no longer free, and they wanted a better life. The Roman Empire also let barbarian refugees in, leading to internal attacks. So, although when we talk about the fall of the Roman Empire, there are many different arguments for why and how it fell. These are often all related to modern culture. However, when we look, we can see that there were a variety of issues caused by it. And when we look at it from the Roman culture, we can see that there were a variety of issues that all led up to it. Primarily, first Christianity, second their internal issues with finances, and third their external issues with barbarians. Thank you. Why aren't you clapping, flies? I thought you would have been more appreciative of me doing my entire viva for you.